Hi, I'm Jim Hudson. Today we're going to look at some servicing of ultra high performance wheels and tires, so particularly carbon fiber wheels. So this carbon fiber wheel is from a Z06 Corvette. So some carbon fiber wheels have aluminum around the center bore here. This particular carbon fiber wheel does not. So it has carbon fiber right up to the center bore, right up to where the center cap seats. So that makes it unsuitable for clamping right here with a standard cone. But there are always going to be aluminum lug seats here for the lug nuts to actually clamp to on the wheel, or when it's installed on the car. So what I'll use is my flange plate to clamp from the top down here against those very lug seats. So I actually have my standard flange plate here equipped with a different pin kit. The accessory pin kit is on here with a couple different pins on there. Now I'm using these larger diameter cone tips because those cone tips fit a little bit better in these larger diameter lug seats on the wheel. But depending on the spoke height and depending on the the height that you need to clear those spokes, you can configure this accessory pin kit in a few different ways to make it work for your wheel. But I'll put that down, making sure that I don't, I kind of preset that bolt circle first. Make sure that I don't scratch the side of those lug holes. And let's go ahead and clamp down from the top down here as I normally would. Once my wheel's clamped though, the process remains the same. So as with standard revolution process, I want to bring my TPMS around to my upper roller position, bring that roller down just flush with the top edge of the wheel here. And that operation right there teaches the machine all it needs to know about this wheel. Go and stand on my go pedal, start the demount process. Now, just by the nature of this wheel and tire, it's probably not a walkaway candidate, not what I would consider a walkaway candidate, just because of the high dollar wheel, a very, very wide assembly, run flat. But otherwise with the Revolution, it's still a very hands-off process. One thing I'll do that's slightly different is I'll bring over the pushers actually to help with my top bead demount. That just kind of helps take a little bit of the stress off the wheel and the tire during those first few degrees of rotation. Also, staggered fitments, especially these ultra high performance applications, typically always are staggered sizes front to rear. So you want to be super careful with staggered fitments, doing anything with same as last on the machine. And let that finish, get the tools out of the way. Mount it back up. Here we go. Another thing to pay attention to again on these high performance assemblies is the tires are almost always directional. So, watch the inside outside designation when you're mounting these tires up. All right. So we got it mounted up, but one of the challenges that can occur with particular tire and wheel fitments, especially those with rim guards, they'll sometimes have trouble seating up. They won't want to take air. So what I can do though is rather than pry on this tire with a pry bar, because obviously I don't really want to pry against this carbon fiber if I can avoid it. I can actually use the demount hook as my kind of a floating lever in a way to pull out that tire to get it to seal up. So I will go ahead and set up for that here real quick by putting my hook down, going into advanced controls here on my machine, putting my hook down a little bit. I'll spin around to that spot that I need to pull on. Then I'll just use my hook, start the air. I don't have to stay on a pedal or anything. Start the air, and I'll just start to pull a little bit with the hook. All right, got my top bead seated. So just like that, with a little bit of different clamping technique, some extra caution and care, and a little technique there at the end for inflation. The tire service is much the same as any other performance car tire. But let's take a look at the process on some of our other center clamp machines. All right, let's look at the same tire and wheel here on a different machine. So this is the Auto34R. The Auto34 has a different flange plate. So with this different flange plate, there's in lieu of having short pins for this flange plate, we have a longer clamp shaft that I'm going to use. So for this machine, I've got a longer clamp shaft here to configure with this flange plate to get the clearance that I need. So clamp down like usual, but the rest of the tire changing process again is very, very similar. So still need to bring my roller down into position, break the beads, mind my TPMS position obviously. I don't have to worry about any kind of metal contact here obviously. I've got polymer rollers, polymer tool head, but I'll do everything I can to reduce that mount-demount stress here by making sure the opposite end of the tire stays in the drop center, and I bump up just a little bit with the lower roller here while I'm demounting this bead. And I got a variable speed here with this machine, so I can rotate nice and slow, just like with the Revolution. I can rotate nice and slow or fast for those last few degrees of rotation. Push the bottom bead off. All right. A little bit of clearance here between my mount head and my tire. Get this roller out of the way. All right. And go back on. Again, kind of minding that TPMS position here, of course, and also watching my directional tire as well. Top bead mount, it's much the same here. Again, minding that drop center, that's the most important thing you can do. So I'm going to use my upper roller to press into the drop center and use my bead press as well. And as my bead starts coming up and over, I want to make sure if my tire's not tracking like it needs to, I need to make sure that I get it tracking over and under that mount head, that over-under condition you'll hear about. So I'll make a quick adjustment here. Go ahead and mount real slow for those last few degrees of rotation. Get it mounted up. Get the tools out of the way. Now, since I don't have a roller or a hook here that I can put down and actually pry out on this bead for inflation, I'm going to use just a standard tire bar, but do the same technique. So I've got a lever here with a polymer protector on it, and as well as a rag here for just an extra level of protection. But essentially, I still want to as I'm inflating, pull outward on this tire, and a lot of times you'll hear the pitch change and you'll actually see the tire start to crawl up as it starts to seal up. Once you see that, you know you're golden. Just let it go ahead and inflate and seat. Now obviously if you have to go past 40 psi to seat the beads, you'll want to make sure you're doing that in a safety cage. In this case, it looks like I'm going to probably get there well before 40 psi, get this tire seated up. So 2 different tire changers, couple different techniques, couple different clamping methods here to employ for each, but still easy to handle these ultra high performance carbon fiber wheels. But for more information on our other tire changers, other tire and wheel assemblies, visit Hunter.com. Thank you for watching.